Hi everyone, Professor Pride here. Just wanted to update everyone because I know there have been a lot of questions recently as to why I'm not so active on the channel. In the past couple days here, I've had my team sort of take over some things over the past couple weeks here, and I've been trying to get better, and I've sort of relied on the big team we have. I've also been working on some other stuff recently. So I wanted to update everyone as to what's happening. But as you know, I have a boyfriend named Michael, and we actually live together in an apartment right back up there. And as some of you know, in that apartment right now, we have two roommates named Tyler and Brett. We're actually we signed a lease already for an apartment next door to that for next year, starting in June. But you may or may not know from how much you read my posts and stuff like that. That date cannot come soon enough because of what's happening, including things like this. So, on Thanksgiving Day, our roommates attended a gay bar in the local area here and a party there on Thanksgiving. And ever since then, they've been off work because of feeling ill. At the time, they didn't tell anyone besides their employer that they were sick, and never told anyone those symptoms looked so similar to COVID-19 that they actually got tested for COVID-19 later that week. On December 2nd, a week after their exposure and well within the 14-day quarantine period, our roommates made Michael and I wash their dishes, something they forced us to do for 6 months now. But this time they chose not to tell us they might have a deadly virus, which is important information to give to your roommates. This is when we believed we were exposed. However, we had no idea until days later. That night, on December 2nd, Michael and I went on a date night to Olive Garden near where we live here and to grocery shopping because we had no idea our roommates were sick and had no idea we might have been exposed as well. On Saturday, December 4th, Michael and I began experiencing all but one of the symptoms of COVID-19. And were in bed, sleeping all day, and taking care of one another every moment we were awake all weekend. Michael was even off of work on Monday because his symptoms were so bad. Monday is also when we both lost our sense of taste entirely, the final symptom of the COVID list we hadn't experienced up until that point, which is why we immediately made a Facebook post letting everyone know we were quarantining for the next 12 days since we were already 2 days into our symptoms. On Tuesday, December 7th, our roommate saw our Facebook post and approached us, saying how they were tested for COVID, chose not to tell anything to us about being sick, and told us they tested negative for the virus. That's important here. Finally, my fever and symptoms broke on Thursday, December 9th, and Michael's fever broke on Friday the 10th. Michael still has a lingering cough, and we both have lingering chest congestion, which causes us both to have shortness of breath to this day. Because my symptoms were over pretty much, and we were told it wasn't COVID by our roommates, I pushed to go back to my house on Sunday night to record more episodes of my show this week. Michael luckily fought hard against this idea and eventually convinced me to keep quarantined for another week yet, which is this week. This morning on December 15th, I was writing an episode in our dining room and overheard our roommate on the phone with his employer. He mentioned to them that his COVID test came back positive and he would be sending them a copy of the results right away. In the previous 2 weeks, while off of work, our roommates have attended multiple parties, bars, and public spaces in our local area, all gay bars and local places that they go to, with no mask on, fully knowing they have tested positive for the coronavirus. They lied to both Michael and I, leading both of us to think we didn't have the virus and it was just some bad flu symptoms. Michael and I have tried everything in the past week to quarantine, keep ourselves away from other people, and to mask whenever in public. We did all of this while still thinking we only had the flu. Meanwhile, our roommates knew we really had something far worse. One of our roommates, named Tyler, was a classmate of mine in grade school and knows I have a health-compromised 60-plus-year-old father at home, a 5-year-old nephew, and a big family back home that I visit regularly. I really wished after 6 months of our roommates taking advantage of us, making us wash their dishes, clean the apartment after them, and lock the door behind them when they got home, because safety and cleanliness are too difficult, I guess. I really wished we would someday have a better relationship between our roommates and us, but Michael and I agree this is unforgivable. We are currently taking the necessary steps to report all of this to the landlord for violation of basic safety protocols. We are also reporting all of this to our friends who frequent those gay bars, restaurants, and public spaces because they have a right to know the truth. We know many people in those bars, restaurants, and places our roommates attended in the past 3 weeks have already been tested positive and are currently suffering from the symptoms of the virus. To be clear, we don't know where the exposure started before it got to that Thanksgiving party, but we know who brought it home here. The CDC says to stay quarantined for 10 days after symptoms first appeared, 24 hours after we don't have a fever without the use of fever-reducing medications, and other symptoms are improving. According to those guidelines, Michael and I should end our quarantine on December 20th, but since our symptoms have not all completely gone away yet, we are extending that to December 25th out of an abundance of caution. This means our plans of meeting Michael's friends for a Christmas village on December 19th are sadly canceled. Our plans of spending Christmas Day with our families are sadly postponed until between the holidays. We are suggesting to our family and friends to get their third booster shot before we meet them, and completely understand if they would like to postpone even longer. It is not safe for Michael and I to go holiday shopping or make cookies for our loved ones until Christmas is over for everyone else. We will be reaching out to family members to arrange other plans for gift exchanges. We also want to assure everyone that holiday cards, which were sent out under the false information that we didn't have COVID, were sealed using a water moistener and not our own lips. Plus, COVID dies on paper products within 24 to 72 hours. We will still be live streaming on December 25th from the MHP TV studios. That way our 71,000 fans, all of you watching right now, can still celebrate the holidays in an LGBTQ safe space and ask us all the questions you might have in our holiday Q&A live show on Christmas Day itself. But out of an abundance of caution, we will not have the full MHP TV staff with us that day, so that live stream might look a little bit less professional than normal, and I apologize for that. Since finding out that we were sick, we have operated under the assumption that we might have COVID. Luckily, we have not visited family members or friends, and we have stayed home as much as possible. I am extremely lucky to have a boyfriend who takes care of me when I'm sick and cares enough about my family to make sure I stayed here this week under quarantine. We are lucky we have each other. And Michael is the best boyfriend ever in all of this, so thank you so much if he's watching. I write this today not only to family members to explain why our holiday plans are being canceled and postponed, but also writing this as an example of how COVID-19 is currently spreading. Some people are such scumbags that they are suffering from a potentially deadly virus and choose not to tell their own roommates they are sick at all, go out partying in bars as if nothing is wrong, and are willing to lie to their friends about a negative test just so word doesn't get around in the local area that they might be sick and so they can continue partying a bit longer. As I write this, Michael and I are furious at the blatant disrespect we have been handed. We feel terrible that we might have exposed others in the Olive Garden and grocery shopping that night before we knew we were sick. There is a difference in the kind of people you deal with nowadays. It's not about Republican or Democrat, gay or straight, and so on. It's a difference of those who feel horrified they might have given a deadly virus to someone else without knowing it, and someone who lied, fully knowing it would hurt people. So Michael and I beg of you to tell people the truth. If you think you got exposed, wear a mask, get tested, and quarantine. Tell your roommates and loved ones the truth, because they will understand. Trust me. This virus is far from over, especially thanks to scumbags like this, who party and lie. But Michael and I warn you, our roommates are far from the only scumbags out there. So please stay safe out there. Michael and I are okay and getting better each day, but furious for good reason. Much love and rainbows, Professor Pride.